Yes, people. Happy Friday, Bank Holiday Friday, Good Friday. Hope you're having a good one. There is plenty to get into our this Easter weekend special. The Toon are obviously travelling to Aston Villa tomorrow night. We'll get into that preview. We'll get into some transfer news very shortly. But before all that, let's talk about Leazes Park Stadium, the site that has been identified as a potential one for the new Newcastle United Stadium, if that was to be the decision from the Saudi Arabian owners. We're still yet to hear any official plans. Loads of rumours, obviously, that it will be a new stadium, that it will be very likely in Leazes Park. There's still the option of extending St James's Park to around 60,000, or the other video that was shown to the likes of Yasser Al-Ramian, our Saudi Arabian PAF chairman, has also been shown videos of a new 70,000-seater stadium. So it's up to them what they decide to do, but that decision will be released very, very soon. But obviously the potential building on Leazes Park has rattled and upset a certain section of the community. Actually, the Save Newcastle Wildlife Group that has launched a petition which has had over 11,000 signatures in only a couple of days. That was actually yesterday that it had 11,000 signatures. There's rumours now that it could be as close to 15 to 20,000 people signing a petition to stop a build on Leazes Park for the new stadium. So these environmentalists have started up a campaign against any plans. This information is on Google, you can have a look yourself. I'll read it out for you now though, if you haven't seen it. Save Newcastle Wildlife has launched this petition, and they also want a referendum on the idea of a new stadium in Leazes Park. They have said that building on the Grade 2 listed Leazes Park, which is the oldest park in Newcastle, having opened in 1873, would set a dangerous precedent for parks and green spaces across the city, many of which are already struggling to make ends meet. It's expected that campaigners will submit a petition to Newcastle City Council and ask for it to be debated at the local authority's next full meeting, which is in June. Petitions with more than 2,500 signatures can trigger a full council debate. However, that is not guaranteed. A spokesperson for Save Newcastle Wildlife said in 1857, 3,000 working people of Newcastle petitioned for the council to have some ready access to some open ground for the purpose of health and recreation. In 1873, Leazes Park was opened for the people of Newcastle. Since then, millions of pounds of taxpayers' money has been spent on making Leazes Park a green and pleasant place for the people and wildlife of Newcastle. It's not just environmentalists who are interested in the developments. Chronicle reported last week that the East Stand has been added to a list of buildings considered to be at risk by a national charity to highlight what an unusual and historic brutalist structure it is. Council chiefs insist that no official talks over a new stadium or redeveloping St James's Park have been held between them and the club. That's a surprising one, but again, is it NDA? What's happening with that? I'd be surprised the council haven't been briefed on this, really would. Whether the club opted for an extension of St James's or the building of a new stadium, the proposals would require planning permission from the council, and a public consultation would be legally required as part of that process. Any future plans could also end up being referred to the Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government to deliver a final verdict. The council spokesperson said there's been a lot of speculation and interest amongst fans about the future of St James's Park, and as stated previously, no formal talks has been happening about this important matter. When the club wants to discuss their plans and detail with us, we will be happy to sit down, listen and advise. Yeah, I'm surprised if we are going to go ahead with the Leazes Park Stadium that the council, or any new stadium anywhere, even a redevelopment, that they haven't been in talks with. I find that strange and kind of hard to believe, to be honest. Is it one of those ones where they can't discuss it? But the whole thing about leaving the door open there, like they're open to talks, of course they're going to be, but he's saying that hasn't happened yet between the club and the council, which I find rather hard to believe. For me, it's like we've got to come to a conclusion to keep everyone happy, really, which is always the difficult thing in life, to be fair, isn't it? But if we were to build a new stadium in Leazes Park, can we not then just turn St James's Park into a safe green space, the land behind there? And it's not like the entire Leazes Park is going to be taken over by the stadium. And there is also plenty of other green areas. We just went to the town moor for the parade. That is massive and constantly empty with just cows. So is that not a big enough green space right next to where we're talking about? And Leazes Park itself is beautiful. I love Leazes Park. It's nice to have a walk around there, you know, feed the ducks and everything. But however, there's loads going on. You've got Exhibition Park close by. It's not like this is Waroni Park. Really, for me, I mean, like I say, St James's Park, if we're not going to use that as a women's stadium or an academy thing or an arena or whatever, give them the green space. Give them a bloody botanical garden if they want it. Do you know what I mean? And that's how we keep everyone happy. But this whole thing about, Newcastle's oldest park, 1873. 1873. We're in 2025. Times change. Things happen. Move on. Do you know what I mean? I just think if this is the best place for a new stadium, which it looks like it is, I just think we can make everyone happy by having that green space there, moving things around, keeping certain parts, and that's not a big deal. I just think, how many of these people who are signing this petition actually go to Leazes Park? I'd love to know. I bet you they don't even walk the dog there once a year. Oh, now they can't have a new stadium there, just because they probably don't like football and they want to feel like they've got something going on in their life, feel a sense of importance. I'll sign this petition, that's me done. Barbara sitting at home, hasn't left the house in 3 years since COVID. What's the point? Do you know what I mean? What is the point? How many people are using this park every day? Seriously, these people from the petitions as well. Party poopers, yeah? That's all they are. Give them a new stadium, man. Anyways, let us know what you think on the Leazes Park petition and what will happen. Because I tell you what, if it's 11,000 or 21,000 or whatever you want to call it, amount of signatures to protest against this, I think the signatures for a new stadium will be a lot higher. Because you know what? A lot more people want to be able to get into St James's Park or Leazes Park Stadium, whatever they're going to call it, a new stadium, so they can actually see the football club play. Because we're kind of get a lot of bums on seats now. There's a massive demand, more so than the 52,000, more so than the 60,000 if we were to redevelop St James's Park. So there'll be a lot more people signing up for a new shiny stadium than people who are signing up to keep grass. There we go. I like Leazes Park, but like I say, it's not the end of the world for me, and there's more parks available. There we go. Would have pissed people off for that one. Don't care. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. As we move on to some transfer news now. And several clubs are following the situation of Louis Miley, according to Fabrizio Romano, ahead of this summer transfer window. Premier League and Bundesliga clubs hold strong interest in the midfielder, who may find it difficult for game time behind such a strong midfield three at Newcastle. That's what Romano is saying. For me, that is a no-go. Romano. It's not happening, sunshine. Miley is gone nowhere. And then you've got people saying, oh, his body language lately hasn't looked good, man. I think he's going to be leaving. His body language shouldn't look good. He's not getting much game time. So that's a good thing. If you're sitting there clapping his hands every week, rubbing them, loving it, smiling away, watching Longstaff get on ahead of him and not getting a minute of football, then I would be concerned. I want him to be wanting to play. That's the right body language, if you ask me. That's the right attitude. Why aren't I on the pitch? And I agree with them. I'll tell you what, Palace the other night, when you see Wilson and Longstaff come on instead of Miley and Asula, I've got to say I'd rather Miley and Asula. I'd rather the young come through. We've seen what Longstaff and Wilson have to offer. We see that they're probably going to leave this summer. I don't understand why Miley and Asula aren't getting on instead, to be perfectly honest with you. That's just my opinion. What do I know? I'm just a YouTuber. Tyndall and Jones and Eddie Howe are doing a cracking job, so we'll trust in them. Just my opinion. But with Miley, yes, he's not going to be happy at game time. However, next season, Miley is obviously going to have a lot more football. We're going to be playing 50 to 60 games next year. Champions League, hopefully, any form of European football. Progressed in the FA and Carabao again once more. And Longstaff likely to leave. Willock, what's his future going to be? Doesn't really play much nowadays. Miley is going to be next in line to replace a Tonali, a Bruno, or a Joe Linton, if that was to be the case. Like I said, probably starting games across Europe and in domestic trophies and in other league games as well, to be fair. So I think Miley will get a chance next year. Romano doesn't say whether it will be a permanent or a loan. There's interest in both, really, by the sounds of it, from Germany and England. And you can see why. We know how much of a superstar talent Louis Miley is. And he obviously has been coming back from a bad injury. That can play a role as well. You want to make sure he's okay, and you don't want to rush him back. You don't want to aggravate things or produce a new injury. So for me, Miley stays. Now, a loan move wouldn't be the worst thing for him if we weren't in Europe. But I think we're going to need him. I really do think we're going to need him, because after Miley, what you got? You got Longstaff and Joe Willock. There's not something we've got abundance in midfield. Let Eddie Anderson go last summer, so unless we're going to sign someone else, which we might do, we probably will, to be fair, bring in another body to replace Sean Longstaff, but Miley's there. Miley's the future. Miley really is the future, so I'd see him staying. I'd be surprised if he moved unless we brought one or two more midfielders in, and what would really be the point of that? You know what I mean? Let's just keep Miley here. Keep him under the coach and guidance of Eddie Howe and the rest of them, and he's bound to flourish, like he already has, really. But he has a bright, bright future ahead of him, so we want to see that in black and white. And I don't think he'll be leaving this summer. On to a player that Newcastle United are linked with once more. I remember this player, this defender, Min-Jae, being linked to Newcastle around the time we signed Sven Botman. He was one of the top players that was rumoured to come to the club after the takeover, when we knew we were in the market for a centre-back. And he's opened the door to a move to the Premier League now, because he isn't really in favour at Bayern Munich. He went there from Napoli 2 years ago for a big fee, but the 28-year-old South Korean centre-back has opened the door to a summer exit, with Chelsea and Newcastle battling out for his signature. This is from Foot Merce Auto, and the Twitter account has over 300,000 followers, so they get quite a bit, right? But it obviously is just a transfer rumour, so don't take it as proven, do you know what I mean? But that's what we're going to have to get used to this summer, as always. Min-Jae does have a contract until 2028 at Bayern Munich, but he's favouring a new challenge and wants to move to England. The Premier League is his top choice according to these sources. And this season, the defender has played 42 matches in all competitions, scoring 3 goals. And it was a €50 million price tag from Napoli after winning the league there. So the South Korean, could he be unveiled in South Korea? Remember, Newcastle are going over to Asia for their pre-season tour. Singapore and South Korea. That would do well, wouldn't it? That would sell shirts. That would grow the fan base. That would tick a lot of boxes. And to be fair, Min-Jae is also a very good player. Quality defender. I wanted him at the time. And the Bayern Munich move hasn't went down a huge success. He's been better this season than last year. But then again, Bayern Munich haven't really, have they? Especially last year. Getting picked the title, knocked out the cups and everything. Now they've been knocked out the Champions League. But Kim Min-Jae, he's a really good, solid defender. And I would definitely have him at the Toon. Let us know what you think. Now then, on to Villa Park. 5:30 kick-off for the Mags, looking to continue their unbelievable form. Villa Park, never an easy place to go. They are hopefully going to be on the Champions League hangover because they got knocked out during the week, even though they beat PSG. They are eliminated. Will they be suffering from that? They do have a good squad. They can rotate and stuff. But Newcastle shouldn't fear anyone at the minute, and I don't fear anyone. I think we can go there, go anywhere, and win. At the minute, I really do. The goals are flowing, the confidence is flowing, momentum's in our favour. Since the cup final, we've arguably had our best month ever. The goals are there, they've only conceded a couple, so we are absolutely fine. What is it, 6-7 wins in a row? We don't have any new injury issues. Apparently Botman is ahead of schedule, but won't be back until next week. Hall and Lascelles are still unavailable. But fair play to Aston Villa, because they have only lost once at Villa Park this season. That was 2-0 by Arsenal in August. Since then, 15 Premier League fixtures at Villa have brought 8 wins and 7 draws. So quite a lot of draws, obviously, but Unai Emery's side doing decent there. And Villa also have the FA Cup to deal with, remember, so that might be a distraction for them. They've got a semi-final against Palace on Saturday week. And after a dreadful record from Newcastle, we hadn't won at Villa in over 10 years, last season we did win 3-1. Remember, Fabian Shaw with 2 goals. So it isn't going to be easy. It will be an exciting game, though. I think there'll be goals once more, and I'm back in the Toon to come out maybe 3-1, 2-1. And that would be cracking, wouldn't it? Listen, we could really be chasing down Arsenal. They play Ipswich on Sunday, so they'd probably win that. But Newcastle can get closer to second place, or more so, just make sure we get third, make sure we get Champions League. And Villa will be going for it as well, though. If they want that Champions League spot, they'll know that they have to close the gap on us before we get further and further away. But I actually think Villa could still get in the Champions League above your Chelsea's and maybe even Forest if they keep slipping. But it's going to be a tight one, a tight call this season for the top 5 spots. Right, and that'll do for me, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll be here for a live match reaction after the Villa game tomorrow night, so keep your eyes open for that one. Subscribe to the Miley channel TV if you haven't already. Drop a like and enjoy yourself.